This is TWiT.
Great piece from Cory Doctorow. As always, he is so eloquent. He's always able to say the things I'm thinking in a persuasive, clever, well-written manner. In this case, his latest post on pluralistic.com. Privacy-preserving age verification is BS. Although he is a little more strong in his term. He actually is taking off on a piece by a guy I highly respect named Steve Bellovin, who is a longtime security researcher, very smart guy, who basically debunks the whole idea. He says this is the problem, Cory says, this is the problem with government. If when presented with an insoluble technical problem, their response to the geek community is, well, nerd harder. You're not a nerd. You can solve it. I know you can.
Type faster.
Yeah.
That's such a Cold War mentality.
It is, isn't it? Anything
Yeah.
can be solved. We can make an atomic bomb.
Yeah, no,
it worked for the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
and arguably that's what fueled NASA and all of the federally funded research up through the 70s and 80s. But clearly it's not working now.
Yeah. It's the same thing with encryption, Cory points out. You can't have encryption that is only private for the good guys, but not the bad guys, right? You can't say, well, it's encrypted for everybody except hackers and terrorists. No, it's either encrypted or it's not, either uncrackable or crackable. There's no middle ground. Same thing with a lot of people are proposing zero knowledge proofs. And Bellovin destroys this whole notion. He says that's not going to work either. The reason I bring it up is now Mississippi has established and put into effect. The Supreme Court has approved it now. This is the thing. We've been fighting it. The Supreme Court has approved Mississippi's social age media verification law. So this will go into effect. This was, of course, a rocket docket, one of those, bench things, and Justice Kavanaugh denied the request, which a number of people pointed out. This is the same problem, which is the Supreme Court says, yeah, you can have First Amendment rights unless you're bad guys, and then no. And I think it is kind of binary. The Mississippi law requires all users to verify their ages in order to use social media sites. The responsibility, of course, on the verification is social networks. Requires parental consent for minors to use any social media. Now, all four of us are parents. Mm-hmm. Some of us have older children than others.
Well, mine all my daughter just became internet legal, so.
Uh-oh. You know what I don't know what that means.
Well, the 13. Well, she's actually 14 now, but recently hit 13, where it just became a lot easier for her to maneuver around the web, without faking her age. And so I definitely have a lot of opinions on all of this. And in fact, the other day, my son, who's 17, so he's kind of been through all of this, came to me and said, my TikTok just asked for my driver's license.
Yow.
It's like,
yow.
Okay.
And of course, the issue here is, look, no one is saying on this panel, I'm sure, and in the world, why would you restrict porn from people under 13 or 16 in some cases? Mm-hmm. No, I don't. I think that's an admirable thing to do. I don't think we're saying that. I think we're saying that any way of verifying age on the internet, as Cory Doctorow and Steve Bellovin says, is inevitably privacy violation for not just kids, but for adults, more for adults than anybody.
Yeah. There was a really interesting piece in Scientific American last year, of all years, talking about online age verification laws and their potential to do more harm than good. And France has come up with an alternate model that I want to emphasize works for the French because they have a much different relationship to their government than Americans do. But Olivier Blazy has designed a system of online age verification where it's kind of a middle person layer, where the layer has the information and can provide verification, but the sites themselves don't have the information. They just get the thumbs up or thumbs down.
This is France is doing it in conjunction with 4 other EU countries. It's an app is the idea.
Yeah.
Well, something like this makes sense because you're right, Leo. There are things online that we that we don't want children to access.
Sure.
And there's got
That's
to be
fair.
ways around that. And there's, a lot of parents are like, my kids can just have no phone or no access to anything without my supervision, and I have to lock everything down. And this puts this in this Mississippi ruling when they were discussing the parents have to give consent. We need the parental education as well, but something simple like today, if you go somewhere and do something that requires you to be a certain age, you show your driver's license. Well, we can't be doing that online. I can't be having my son holding up his driver's license on TikTok. I mean, this is ridiculous. So if we're going to do this, you need some kind of a tool that's like a digital driver's license, but that isn't going to be.
You don't want to actually spread all the details
driver's
around.
license everywhere. Yeah, almost like digital wallets. Like we have it with our credit cards now with Apple wallets, right?
Apple Pay.
Apple Pay is not your actual credit card that's going out into the world. So yeah, there's definitely someone could step up here, but you're right. The U.S. government might not be the best solution for us today.
Incidentally, Jennifer, your daughter is not internet legal in France. The age is 15.
Yeah.
So
the other thing I keep thinking is, since for the United States as a whole, there's not a lot of penalty levied on any company that misuses data. We don't have any sort of standard for data security. There are no consequences. No one is ever made whole when a company has had a security breach and their identity has been stolen. So putting into place a mechanism on the internet that says, sure, give us even more personal data that can be stolen, that you will have to deal with, that the company will not have to deal with. It's a lose-lose proposition. And it doesn't do much to address the core issue, which is there is stuff on the internet you don't want children to access.
Nobody says a shopkeeper shouldn't be able to say, "Hey, kid, get away from that Playboy."
Yeah,
that's perfect. That's normal. That's legit. Fine.
Yeah.
But to what you're saying, Lisa, in fact, rather than having a comprehensive privacy laws in this country that are enforceable, what we actually have is the opposite. We have a lot of people in government at various levels in this country and in various regions that want to intrude even more on whatever we're doing. So they're actually actively working against our privacy, but they want to track women, and their bodily functions. They want to track where we go. So we're actually moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I have an almost 15-year-old, and we've been talking about this a lot. And my daughter's point of contention was, look, our school district went cell phone free this year. The kids have to hand over their cell phones at the beginning of class. They get them back at the end. It's the whole thing. And my daughter's like, you realize people just bring in burners. And she's like, if there's a tech ban, kids figure out a way around it really quickly. And I was like, yes, I know.
In fact, it teaches children how to get around those restrictions.
Gives them an incentive to do it. Yeah.
But to address
like VPNs.
To address Sam's point as well, although we live in California, the minute she hit puberty and she started having the wellness checkups once a year, the doctor would ask, well, what is, is everything okay, with your menstrual cycle? And I was like, you don't tell them dates. You don't tell them anything other than I have no concerns. It's working fine. Like we put nothing in any electronic record because we don't know when any of your right to medical privacy will be eroded. We just don't know. So
yeah, I had the exact same thing, except for I live in South Carolina, so it's a little bit more of it.
It's a little bit
and
more.
They're like, oh, you should download this app. And I said to her, no, we do not download that app. We'll use pen and
Women's reproductive health, of course, under assault in the United States. And so I can see why you might be really concerned.
Women's and everyone else's. I mean, I have a child that is trans.
Yeah.
And we have a government that is actively trying to eradicate her existence.
Oh God.
Can you imagine? That's just heartbreaking.
Sam, I don't know how your head's not just constantly exploding like a cartoon character. Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bellevin talks about something called the Kamenish Lysyanskaya protocol.
Good pronunciation.
Which from now on we will just call CL. And this is kind of what France is doing. A site which is known as an identity provider issues what's called a primary credential. And then this identity provider, we'll call it IDP, can then assert to any third party, yes, this person is of age or not. That's what France is doing. It's what someone proposed that Apple do and Google do. The problem, of course, is, well, in fact, Bellevin calls them insurmountable objects or obstacles.
Those are real problems.
Yeah. One is obtaining the primary credential. How do you tell the IDP, give them that information? In the US, the UK, by the way, which now, thanks to the Online Safety Act, the Snoopers Charter has, they're two different things, but the UK now has an age verification system in place as well. Bellevin points out there are a lot of people, there's no national ID card in the US or the UK. Other factors that hurt access are age, poverty, distance from identity provider, or the government agency that would issue the necessary ID, and more. It's just an insurmountable obstacle. Maybe in France they have a national ID, so it's a little bit easier to do that. But in the U.S., there is no requirement to have an ID, which might surprise people in the D.C. area because it seems like papers, please, is the standard of the day. So there are economic issues, there are technical challenges, there's governance issues, and ultimately, I think the thing that concerns me and all of us is the privacy issue, because there has yet to been a database, a repository of this kind of information that hasn't been ultimately breached. It's just too valuable.
Yeah, I mean, my two kids, 14 and 16, 17, and I've already had like 5 letters for each of them from credit companies saying,
God.
Your data was breached here, you can have free credit monitoring for a year. I'm like,
oh my
she's
God.
14.
Why is there even data on a child?
Yeah. I know. Well, she has a bank account. They signed her up for a bank account at school, with our permission. But here, start a savings account when you're young, and now, But yeah,
well, you want to do that, right? Because at least I was told, your kids have to build a credit record so that when they're adults, they can get a credit card and join the human race.
Well, I wonder if this also points to another fun part of the U.S. data landscape, which is different states have different regulations. Because my daughter,
by the way, because
has
of
a
the
credit union account. We've never gotten anything like that for her. And what I'm wondering is if there's something in California law that doesn't exist in other states, or if this is something with credit unions. But the point is, we're all living in the same country. We're all having wildly different experiences in terms of what our kids' civil rights are, or what our privacy rights are, or what our data rights are. And when and the Mississippi thing just amplifies that further, which is the reality. If you're a parent in Mississippi, you've effectively lost control over a fundamental right to privacy for your kids' data for age verification purposes, whereas I don't have that issue yet, or other people in other states are not going to have that issue.
Well, it's coming soon to many states because of this Supreme Court decision. Texas has a law which has been held up, but I think that will quickly be resolved. Nebraska, Arkansas, Florida all have laws, similar laws to the Mississippi law, which have been temporarily enjoined. I think you're going to see this.
It just points to a fundamental one of the things, and I don't think we are likely to see this crack like even the top 10 list of civil rights concerns at the moment. But one of the fundamental sustained problems that you see with online activity is, again, a really profound disregard for any person's right to data. In this country, you don't have a right to know who's collecting on you. You don't have a right to know how it's used. You don't have the right to be forgotten. And these news stories that you're sharing just kind of amplify the point that we are being the data associated with us is being bought, sold, and traded and regulated, and there's not a whole lot of concern for whether or not it's in our best interest as residents or citizens of the country.
But you're starting to see that the forces being applied to Congress are going to never let that happen, right? It's law enforcement wants that information. Private industry wants that information. Data brokers want that information. There's just too many people lobbying against any data privacy restrictions. That's why we don't have one. The final twist in this one, and I'll twist the knife once more, is Justice Kavanaugh, who denied the application. He wrote in the most bizarrely twisted language. NetChoice, who was trying to defend, prevent Mississippi from doing this. NetChoice represents Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube. Kavanaugh wrote, NetChoice has, in my view, demonstrated it is likely to succeed on the merits, namely that the enforcement of the Mississippi law would likely violate its members' First Amendment rights under this court's precedents. He acknowledged this is a violation of the First Amendment right, but then he went along and said, but I'm gonna deny NetChoice because they haven't sufficiently demonstrated that the balance of harms and equities favors it at this time. He's basically saying the right of parents to keep their kids free of adult content or get them off social trumps the First Amendment rights of every other person in the state of Mississippi.
Well, I think what he's saying, what he's done here is what this court has done so frequently in the last several years, which is utterly ignore what is in the Constitution and just rule however the majority feels like they want to rule.
With this twisted
regardless
logic.
of what's actually in the Constitution.
No precedent, just vibes. Yeah.
Just vibes.
Yeah.
No,
They're
vibe.
They're vibe legislating.
Vibe court. Yeah.
They're vibe court. Vibe courting. Oh my God.
Wow. It's bad news.
Vibe precedenting.
And again, I understand parents wanting help with all this. I really do. We've proposed in the past, Steve Gibson suggested this, and I kind of thought it seemed like a good idea. What if there is a switch, and I'd love to know what you parents think of this. There's a switch on, first of all, if you want to give your kid a smartphone, there's a switch, it'll be on the iPhone, it'll be on any Android device, where you as a parent say, I'm not sure how you would phrase this, but somehow, my kid's not mature enough you could say, is your kid 13? And you could, in your mind, go, well, my kid's 18, but still, with the mentality of a 13-year-old, is not mature enough to be on social networks. So you could say no, right?
In then Apple
wouldn't know anything except that the parent said, no, I don't want my kids on social media, and would then communicate that to all of these apps in the App Store. No, you can't be on this kid's phone.
In principle, I think that's a great idea, but I think it was Jen said earlier about her daughter, talking about kids having burner phones, or maybe it was Lisa.
It was mine. Mine was like, kids are sneaky. And I was like,
I mean,
I'm not giving my daughter any ideas.
Look, I know there is no perfect solution. I know that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a speed bump, just like the storekeeper saying, "Get away from that Playboy kid." I don't know why I keep coming up with that. I think it happened to me. But anyway, get away from that rack, kid, is a speed bump. Of course, I was able to get access to Playboys and other managed methods, but a speed bump is all we can really offer.
And it's actually not that hard. And this is something that I came across, and I was like, could have been really simple for Apple or Google to implement without all of this furore, is rating. So right now there are age ratings on apps. Right? So you can limit which apps your kids can download based on the age ratings. But the problem is that most apps that have any kind of connection to the internet are rated like 17 plus, or, so I forget the exact phrase that they use.
There's not enough granularity.
Exactly. If there was some granularity, like if you could just say, click no social media apps, or just click no, if there were more granularity to the ratings that Google and Apple implement, which they're the ones in control, they're not gating it. They're just giving you the option to be able to gate it. So the difference is, rather than making...
Don't we have that? That's some
not
sounds
really.
Like we don't, huh?
It's like, it's so broad. Like the only apps, if you do under 14, the only apps you can download are like little cartoon game type thing.
Couldn't be YouTube. Couldn't be Safari.
You can't do
couldn't
YouTube.
Be any browser.
You can't do Safari. No, which you can disable Safari on phones, which is something I definitely did. But but it would also limit. Like YouTube is useful for a kid who's doing research for a project. So it's just we need more granularity. But it is on the platforms that you're using as well to help provide that granularity.
Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this little snippet from a much longer show we call This Week in Tech. If you want to see the whole thing, there's a link down below. And you know what the best thing to do would be? Like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.